Greetings, fellow Gorehounds, and welcome back to a Blood Splattered vlog. I'm the Horror Guru.
And I'm Count Jackula.
And today we're going to talk about a Shudder original, Night of the Reaper.
Don't fear the Reaper, baby.
Don't fear the Reaper. This movie is co-written and directed by Brandon Christensen, who was the director of Superhost and The Puppet Man, two movies which we also did videos on that you can see on this very channel if you want to see them after you're finished with this vlog.
Yeah, I remember Superhost. I don't remember Puppet Man as much.
Puppet Man was it was a girl, she's in college, and like her dad at one point,
right.
There's like this puppet creature that's like making people like
kill themselves and shit.
Yeah, like they're marionetted.
Yeah. Okay. Now I remember. Oh, the same guy. Okay.
Yeah. It was a pretty good movie. I think I liked Superhost better, but it was a pretty good movie. I think this might be his best film yet.
I think so. Like, this guy is actually very good at the third act twist.
Yes. This movie starts off as basically like a slasher / home invasion movie about a town that is basically under siege from this serial killer who kills people and makes these little like home horror movies, like snuff films out of their deaths, but is clearly like reaching some sort of like cinematic quality with it. He wants it to feel like Sam Raimi made it.
Yeah, and so they set up cameras all over the place to get different shots and things like that.
Absolutely. That's the killer's main gimmick, and they are called the Reaper because of the mask they wear, which is basically a skull mask and, you know, basically the same robes from like Scream.
Or Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. The movie is split into two plot threads. The first plot thread involves a college student named Dina who's returning home from college and basically gets roped into a babysitting gig because her friend gets food poisoning, and she ends up under siege from this serial killer because the serial killer, one of the main targets it seems to go for is babysitters, though as the movie goes on, you find out there are other targets.
There are other victims.
The other plot thread follows the sheriff who has been trying to track down this serial killer for a good 2 years. He is being taunted by the serial killer who is sending him these tapes and sending him on this wild goose chase, and he's not even sure if at the end of it he's going to find out who did it, but he's following the breadcrumbs anyway because he wants to stop the killer who's killing all the kids in town.
Yeah.
Because so far, most of the victims have been primarily teenagers, though, like we said earlier, it turns out there are more victims than was originally led on.
Yeah, one of the other things about the sheriff is that he is mourning a dead wife.
Yes, which is partially why he's a little on edge in this movie. One of the things that was really interesting watching the writing around him is it's really hard to be on his side for a good chunk of this movie because he's constantly breaking the rules in ways that feel like they're not helping.
Yeah.
He's constantly making these leaps in logic before he has the proper evidence for it. There's like a point where he assaults a potential suspect before he has any evidence that proves definitively they did it.
Yeah.
He has some stuff that's hinting towards it, but he doesn't know for sure. And he does a lot of stuff like that, which makes it really hard to root for him, even though it's obvious he really wants to solve this case.
Yeah. And one of the things I liked about the fact that the cop is like very obviously like a bit unhinged and is like breaking rules left and right is it helps make the ending work.
Yes, absolutely. And I really liked that. The thing about this movie is I was enjoying it for the first half of the movie. The first half of the movie is like a solid 7 out of 10. It's a nostalgic throwback. It's set in the 80s. It's got a great soundtrack. The atmosphere is great. It's got some slashery vibes. I was really digging it.
Yeah, it's a really good, the first half of the movie is a solid slasher movie.
Absolutely. And then at a certain point in this movie, it starts hitting you with multiple twists and turns. Once that happens, it becomes a completely different movie. Kind of like, say, a movie like From Dusk Till Dawn, how it starts off as like a crime movie and then by the end of it, it's a vampire movie.
Yeah.
This movie has a similar twist halfway through, as well as some other twists after that make the movie even more interesting.
Yeah.
And what I really like about it is all the twists that happen later on are actually planted earlier in the movie.
Yeah, they're all set up. It's all set up.
But it's like misdirection. Like you see it, you might even recognize it and be like, oh, that's interesting. But like it like misdirects you in the other direction. tension.
Yeah, because like you think the scene's about one thing, but what it's really about is setting up this twist that happens later.
Absolutely. So what made me actually fall in love with this movie, and what made this 7 out of 10 movie become like a 10 out of 10 by the end of it, is the clever writing throughout. It planted so many great seeds, and at the end, when it finally reveals all of its cards, I loved where this movie ended up. 100%.
Yeah. About the weakest thing you could say about this movie is it's obviously a low-budget film.
It is a low-budget film.
You know,
that much
that's
is very
about the
clear.
worst thing you could say about it.
It feels like 80s slasher movies, which were usually low budget.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it was severely hampered by it.
No.
I was a little confused at that one guy's glamour shirt. It was clearly
like supposed to be a Def Leppard shirt, but they went
Yeah.
with something non-copyright.
I guarantee that was like a budgetary thing, right? We want him to be wearing a shirt like a Def Leppard shirt, but we don't want to have to pay Def Leppard.
So we're just going to have a kind of Def Leppard shirt that just says glamour.
Took me like halfway through the movie before I realized why I really liked the way this movie looked, and I couldn't quite articulate what was different about it and anything else we had watched like these last few months. I realized it halfway through. This movie has a lot of smoked out sets. Not quite Tony Scott style.
Yeah, not Tony Scott, everyone's smoking.
Yeah.
You know.
But like every set, they obviously went in and like did like a little fog machine in it to give the scene a little bit more like literal atmosphere.
Yeah.
And a little bit more texture to the screen. Even though it's obviously shot digitally, it looks like a modern film, but it gives it a little bit more texture, which kind of makes up for the fact that there's no like film grain.
Right.
Even though it's like a throwback movie, it doesn't try to put on like a film grain filter. It does during the opening title.
During the title sequence, it does.
It does, but it's not a film grain filter. It does
It's a video. It's a VHS video filter.
It's a VHS filter. So I really like the cinematography in this movie. It makes you feel like you're watching a movie in the 80s without actually like going as far as like shooting it on VHS or shooting it on like 16 millimeter or something.
Yeah. The only problem I had with trying to recreate an 80s movie is I did find myself constantly looking for the anachronisms.
Oh, yeah.
You know? 'Cause I'm like, at one point, this one kid is playing like a video game and it's an Atari.
Yeah.
And I'm like...
He's playing Centipede, I believe.
He's playing Centipede. And I'm like...
You got the wrong Atari.
You got the wrong Atari with the wrong controller.
I'll have to take your word for it. I don't know the history exactly, so that you might be right.
Yeah. Let me put it this way. They could technically be correct.
I will say this. There was one point where you were pointing that out, and it actually became a plot point in the movie.
Yes.
Where you're pointing out that someone's camera was a Betamax camera, and that the camera that the killers were using were VHS tapes.
cameras.
That actually ended up becoming a plot point. It's an example of the sheriff being led in the wrong direction.
Yeah. When you were in film school, they ever have you shoot on beta, Super Beta?
No, never did.
Oh,
never did.
man.
Never
Dude.
did.
Yeah, I had to shoot shit on Super Beta.
When I was in film school, we shot on DV tapes or actual film, one of the two.
Oh, okay.
It was like little mini DV tapes.
Oh, man, they let you actually use the film? Fuck. Well, then again, I didn't get as far.
We had to pay for it, but we did use film sometimes.
Jeez. Yeah, no, those DV tapes I hated.
Yeah.
I hated those pieces of shit.
They weren't the greatest.
Well, it was like you understood why. They're more compact, they're cheaper, but because they're cheaper, they also are cheaper, so they would snap all the time.
Fair enough.
And
yeah.
I was always like, why?
I do think this movie would make a great double feature with House of the Devil.
Yes.
The Ty West movie, mainly because they both have like a retro vibe to them.
Yeah.
But the other reason is because they're both movies about someone who's effectively house sitting in like a creepy old house and like someone stalking them during it.
Yeah.
And there's some twists in the movie, just like there is in House of the Devil. So if you like House of the Devil, you're probably going to dig this movie. Though this movie's a lot more fast-paced than House of the Devil is.
Oh, yeah. Dude. Whoa.
It helps that there's a B plot in this involving the sheriff that it cuts to.
Yes.
And it's all of a sudden like a Twin Peaks or a true crime episode. Also, I love the Easter eggs in the movie. At one point, if you're actually like paying close attention, you can actually see a VHS tape that says Superhost.
Superhost.
Nice little Easter egg. I like that. So yeah, I really enjoyed Night of the Reaper. It's hard to talk about the movie without talking about the spoiler stuff, so we're gonna move on soon. I do want to issue one warning though. This movie features not one, not two, but 3 dead dogs over the course of it.
Oh, yes.
Because it turns out one of the killer's signatures is that he always leaves a dead dog on the scene when he kills someone.
Yeah. He kills a pet. I don't think you actually watch the killer kill the pet.
You never watch it happen.
It's always like an omen, but like there are dead dogs in this thing.
Yes, but it's like when you're driving past and you see like roadkill, like you see the bodies.
Yeah.
But you don't see him actually like hurting the dog, but you hear it and then you see the bodies.
Then you see the body.
So yeah, the movie is currently available on Shudder. It is a Shudder original, just like The Puppet Man and just like Superhost. This movie's a true gem.
Oh yeah.
It's set on Halloween, so it's perfect for the Halloween season. It's got a few tricks and treats up its sleeve. And with that said, my fellow Gorehounds, let us move on to the spoilers. And once again, I'm warning you, this movie actually has twists. So these spoilers are spoilery.
Yeah, these are spoilers.
So be warned. So here we go.
First spoiler, the cop's wife was killed by the Reaper.
Yeah, that's one of the reveals in one of the videotapes that he finds over the course of the movie. His wife was killed by the Reaper. So now he has a personal connection to the killer, and something he was already mourning is now making everything worse for him emotionally.
Yes.
And so he's going even more off the deep end. The other big reveal is that the killer is not a he. The killer is a she. Earlier on in the movie, they establish a character who pops up here and there who is a park ranger. One of the times she shows up is in the store when when the main character, Dina, is going to get her dad's drugs at the pharmacy, and she's standing in there. Another time she shows up is when she's actually picking up roadkill off the side of the road.
Yeah.
Which is actually one of our first hints.
Yeah, that's the first tip-off.
That she is the killer, but because she's not focused on for most of the movie, you kind of forget about her by the time the reveal happens.
Yeah.
But here is the other twist. There's 2 killers. Like Scream, it wasn't just a one-person job, which I actually called early on in the movie, because when the opening scene happened, the elaborate scene they set up with the cameras and the stalking and the moving things when she's not in the room, unless they had supernatural powers, that was going to require 2 people.
Yeah. We were either going to deal with something that was like a ghost, or it was going to be 2 people.
And so earlier on in the movie, there is a character who we all kind of pegged while watching it as being the red herring. He's literally wearing red through most of the movie. And he's got a red Betamax camera. He's too obvious, right?
Yeah.
Turns out, no, he's actually the accomplice. So the sheriff kind of had it right early on in the movie, but then ends up going down these incorrect paths.
Yeah.
Because one of the characters he brings in, Dina's friend, who is this jock, that character is brought in because the sheriff goes and breaks into his apartment.
And finds one of the tapes in his room.
Of the tapes in his room. Now, as a viewer, I was sitting there going, well, the killer has been leaving random boxes in front of people's houses, not just the sheriff's house. One of the people that works for the sheriff got a box too. So it's entirely possible this kid also got a box with a tape in it.
Yeah, and didn't know what to do with it.
Opened it and left it on his bed. The sheriff jumps the gun, beats the shit out of this guy, and then brings him in. It turns out that kid is not a killer, but what he is connected to the other twist in the movie. In fact, the biggest
big twist
in this
final
movie.
Twist in the movie.
It turns out the Dina section of the movie, the college student section of the movie, she has been secretly setting up this trap to capture the killer.
Yeah.
Because in the opening scene of the movie, the first kill in the movie was actually her sister. The tapes were not actually being sent to people from the killer. She actually found the tapes and sent them to the sheriff, sent them to these other people in order to lead them down the path of finding the killer. But she didn't want them to find them before she sets up her trap and gets her revenge.
Yeah.
And what's really cool about this twist is that when you go back for the first half of the movie, you'll realize how set up this actually was. There's a point in which she goes and gets her dad's drugs from the convenience store or the pharmacy. Later on in the movie, someone calls a bomb threat to distract the police at that pharmacy.
Yeah.
And they go in there and they find a bag and they find a tape in the bag. She has the bag when she goes in. And she doesn't when she leaves. But you don't notice it when you're watching it because you're just thinking about the drugs and all that stuff that she's getting and all that stuff. And you don't suspect anything. There's a point when she goes to talk to her dad dad, and she takes her dad's like tape recorder. She uses that later on to trick the killer with a recording of her voice, which is pretty cool. There's a scene where her and the jock guy have this kind of like conversation where it's like a lot is said non-verbally, and like he's like, we're cool, right? And she's like, yeah, we're cool. And you think it's like, you know, old friends, they haven't seen each other for a while, and it's one of those like, are we cool still? Did they have some sort of like falling out before she left or whatever? No, actually he was in on this plan and helping her get her revenge.
Yeah.
The we're cool was basically, are all the things in place? Are all the boxes in place?
Yeah. Did you deliver the shit?
Yeah, exactly. Her friend getting the food poisoning, that was her.
Yeah, that was not an accident either.
She made sure she got food poisoning so that she would offer her the babysitting gig. And I just thought all of that was like really well done.
Yeah.
Like, I went from enjoying the movie to loving the movie in this second half.
I gotta say, if her friend had gone to that babysitting job, that whole plan had been fucked.
I know. If she had gone anyway, just toughed it out.
Yeah. It's been screwed. Yeah.
I'm going to have to assume she gave her something strong because it sounded like she was just in a non-stop shitting fest.
Yeah.
Probably one of my favorite elements of this fucking insane plan that she like lets loose on this killer is the point where it looks like she basically bought out like an entire like town's worth of those like Reaper decorations.
Oh yeah,
that hang from trees and like decorates like this entire forest with it. I was like, damn, that's a little over the top. That's crazy. It becomes a good for her movie by the end of it.
Oh, yeah.
Even though she's not the one who lands the final blow. The one who lands the final blow is the sheriff kind of figuring out some things and showing up and shooting the fucking killer.
And then covering up for the main character.
Yes. And then the movie ends on my favorite note, a smash cut to the credits, and don't fear the Reaper. Perfect. Mwah. No notes.
So yeah, Night of the Reaper.
Night of the Reaper.
Thumbs up.
2 thumbs up from me.
Well, you can find me here on YouTube, where I stream pretty much every weekday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'd love to see you there. And you can follow me on Blue Sky at Count Jackula. What about you?
Y'all know me, I'm the Horror Guru. You can find me on various social media platforms, but these days, I primarily use Blue Sky, so follow me on there. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that notification bell so you're notified of my videos immediately upon their upload. And if you'd like to help out either of us more directly, be sure to check out our Patreon pages, and remember, if you decide to go the Patreon route, even $1 a month can go a long way, but we will certainly accept more. With that said, my fellow Gorehounds, I want you to comment below, and be sure to comment below using the hashtag Don't Fear the Reaper. Of course, we're gonna use that. I'm a huge Blue Oyster Cult fan. I can't say that today for some reason. So of course we're gonna use that as the hashtag. Seasons don't fear the Reaper. Nor do Dina, for that matter.
Yeah,
damn.
No, don't fear shit.
She got scary at one point.